Every company in the world wants better construction planning and scheduling, but very few have a real strategy about how a planning and scheduling group should be built and run. The result is all too familiar: disconnected tools, inconsistent standards, and owners making decisions off of PDFs that are months behind. In today's episode of Beyond Deadlines, I'm joined by the CEO of Outbuild, Franco Giacuinto. We walk through step by step how to purposely design a scheduling organization from the ground up. We cover standards, structures, technology, how to collaborate with trades, and most importantly, how to keep the schedule aligned with what's happening in the field. If you're responsible for planning, scheduling, or project controls on large capital projects, this conversation will help you rethink how your group is set up and really determine if you have what good looks like. Welcome to the Beyond Deadlines podcast, where we tackle challenges that planning and schedule leaders come across on a day-to-day basis. My name is Micah Piippo, and I'm the CEO of Movar North America.
Hi, everyone. I'm Franco Giacuinto. I'm the CEO and founder of Outbuild. We are creating the next standard for construction scheduling and planning for general contractors.
Today's show is going to be a good one. We're going to dive into how to set up a large scheduling group. Franco has some very interesting thoughts and strategies and tactics on that, and we're going to dive right into it. So, Franco, here's the challenge. You've been working with a GC, and they say, we love what you're saying. Come set up a planning and scheduling group for us. They give you the keys to the car. They say you can do whatever you want. How do you tackle this challenge?
Oof, whatever I want. As the founder and CEO of Outbuild. All right. Well, first off, before anything, I would have to really understand like the type of company, type of projects, all that stuff, right? Get in the weeds of it, understand what are we tackling. Second, I would really get going with the group, meet with everyone, understand what they're doing, understand their visions. And because we think that it's all about people and what we do. So once you understand the group, their vision, what they think we should be doing, I would propose a new way of doing things. And a new way of doing things means going from the status quo that we see today in most of the construction projects and taking it to something more advanced, more data-driven, more with the people is on the center of it.
Well, let me paint a quick picture of what the status quo is, and then that way we have something to pivot off of what the future looks like. So let's say the company doesn't have a standard of planning and scheduling. So there's no standards. It's kind of project to project, region to region. Let's just say this GC is based in North America, and they dabble in data centers and some infrastructure and some commercial stuff. So projects ranging from probably 10 million to 500 million. And then when they do go plan and schedule projects, they really look towards the owner to provide them guidance. So maybe they'll throw a P6 schedule together, or, they'll tackle it themselves. And it's usually a mix of Excel and whiteboards and things like that. So hopefully that resonates with a couple people out there. And I'm guessing, Franco, you've seen that a couple of times on some jobs you visited.
A few hundred.
If that is the status quo and you're taking us to the future, start helping me get from A to B.
Okay. I mean, I'm gonna ramble a little bit. I'm not such a process oriented guy, but I'm gonna throw out there what I think. I think it's very important to meet with the client first and show them what this could look like if we change a few things from that status quo that you mentioned to a little bit of the vision that I would like to put in these type of projects. So I know we're going from a group of schedulers, but let's talk about a project in particular. If it's a data center, I would like to get together with the client, understand obviously what do they want to do, and propose a new way of doing things. And the new way of doing things would be very tech oriented. It would be very collaborative, and it would involve everyone in the process from the owner, the GC, all the way down to the trades. So I would show how that would look like if we put technology that allows the project to own the schedule, to have collaboration directly coming from the trades, and how that would create a schedule that is constantly updated and it is much more accurate than a schedule that is updated once a month based on everything that's going on in the project. So if the status quo is like CPM, traditional tools like P6 or MS Project with Excel sheets and whiteboards, I would show how, I don't want to do a lot of advertising on Outbuild, but how do we replace all that stuff, put one platform in place that is bringing data from other areas of construction, whether it's, submittals or RFIs or drawings. And how do we also involve the trades? So the updates from the field are constant every single hour of the day. So we are always updated in dates, in progress, and in impacts on the schedule, and we can have better mitigation strategies. And then all that information that will be managed in one tool from beginning to end that has accountability and traceability on everything, which is key to understand like what is going down. I would also show how that platform, how that software, how those tools aggregate data to give the owner a better understanding of where we're at, where we're going to be, and what is the potential outcome of every milestone and the end of the project. Because the reality is, a lot of the I'm going to talk reality on the industry today, which is a little harsh, and I don't want to get against anyone, but like a lot of the owners today are receiving very, very, high level updates once a month of, let's say, a data center that could be, like I said, $500 million. Imagine receiving a PDF update once a month or once every 2 weeks. That's not enough to really understand.
That's a $25 million PDF.
Exactly. And like I heard our friend Mike Ping from Smart PM the other day saying, like, if you do these updates, right, once a month, once every 2 weeks, the speed at which you can change things and the mitigation plans that you can build and everything is just so delayed that you're probably going to eat a few days in project delays easy, right? Versus when the project is always updated every single day with inputs from the field, you can actually make better decisions on what activities to prioritize. This milestone, do we need to bring it forward or push it a little bit? Can we switch some trades coming in early to finish these activities while the other ones prepare the make ready plan for these other activities? Like in the field, it needs to be tactical. You can't have super detailed schedule where something moves and destroys everything else, because that creates a lot of issues and it's very hard to prioritize things. So I think we need to move from that, hey, CPM schedule, PDF update once a month. Let me just show a lot of things that I want to show and protect the reality of the project, to, hey, this is what's going on. This is the update today. We're all involved in the process, all the stakeholders. How do we move forward from here? How do we make, how do we accomplish the next milestone? How do we change a few things and make sure we reduce the potential delay from a week to a couple days? Like, I always feel like if more people are involved with their different expertise, the outcome is always going to be better. And I give my teams, for example, the analogy always that in a software company, the processes are very similar to construction. Like, this is crazy. Like, I think I mentioned this several times on podcasts and stuff, but it's so similar that it's scary. So the example I always give to people when I talk about construction is, if I have a startup, right, and I have a product team, we have a roadmap. Our product roadmap is kind of like a CPM schedule for the project, right? A little bit less expensive, I would say, but someday it will be just expensive. And you have this roadmap and you present it to the software engineers. What's happening today is the same as if I grab that CPM schedule, that roadmap from my product, and tell my engineers, go build. And I don't have any input from my software engineers, from my designers, from my PMs. So like, hey, Franco, this is going to need a heavy like restructure on this. This integration, we're going to need to solve these, I don't know, NDAs, like integrations, all that stuff with this company. This is going to need us to really understand the math of these formulas and stuff like that. If I don't have that input and I don't involve them in the decision making, not only strategical, but also tactical, then I'm just shooting myself in the foot, and I'm expecting us to build something because I have an owner, i.e. an investor, that is telling me, hey, you need to launch this product by Q4. Yeah. And the reality is that's usually going to fail.
Yeah. Let me do this real quick. And I'll give you, I've been watching a lot of baseball lately with the World Series going on.
So I'm not a baseball guy, but okay.
That's okay. There's not going to be a baseball analogy here. Well, actually, maybe there is. But I'll give you a fielder's choice. I want to dive into that. How do you bring in this and create this collaboration?
Okay.
And there's different phases of a project, and there's different styles of collaboration. So I kind of want to touch on each of these three buckets I'm going to mention, but I'll let you pick one you want to tackle first. The first one would probably be the one you mentioned, maybe the most, where the project is ongoing, and you're bringing in people to give their progress updates and status, and I'll give the micro adjustments to the schedule. I'd say the middle one is a baseline schedule. At a certain point in time, you have to, in some way, validate your work back to the client. Now, that can be a full schedule, partial, billions of ways to skin that cat.
but I feel like that's a collaboration setting. And then there's one before where you're not actually doing construction, you're in pre-construction, or even you're just kind of in thought process land, and there's a collaboration space there. So I kind of like to walk through each of those three buckets and talk a little bit about how do you see collaboration taking place in those sorts of areas.
Okay, let's do it.
Which one do you want to tackle first? It's your choice. I'll let you fall on your own sword.
Just a project. Let's start with the project ongoing.
Okay, so let's do project, and let's start in the baseline period. So
Okay.
you're not doing progress, you're going to do a baseline workshop. How does that look in this new approach to really bring in and maximize collaboration?
Okay. Well, I would say what differs from traditional way of doing that baseline update and what we're proposing is that baseline should always be updated. But if it's like we have a meeting with the customer, we need to update it to present this.
All right, let me walk back a little bit. This is the
Yeah.
actual creation of the baseline. So you don't have a baseline, you're going to create one. Typically, I'd say old way, a scheduler sits in a room with maybe one PM and creates the baseline schedule, then turns around and goes, da-da. What's the new way?
I mean, the new way is not something that I'm going to invent or we invented at all. I think, and we think that the best way of doing that, let's say creating that master plan and then that phase planning that is going to involve the critical milestones, the handouts, all that stuff, and then building this baseline schedule. I believe that the best way of doing that is a combination of traditional CPM for very strategical, high level, understanding of the project, and then doing phase planning with lean methodologies like last planner systems, so you can work it backwards from handouts, delivery milestones, all the way down to what do we need to get done to achieve that. And I feel like that's the best way of doing that, even at a high level, like a phase planning level, but it needs to be done with the people in the field at that point in time. This can be done by just a scheduler or a team of schedulers. This needs the input from the trades. This needs the input from the PM, from the assistant PM, even from like anyone managing any type of data, because they'll have some sort of critical input that is going to be needed for building that proper baseline.
Yeah,
If
how
that
do you
makes
think
sense.
for the trades? I love your approach and where you're headed with it. And then just for the trades really quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've done these reviews and I get really great feedback and I feel like we're collaborating and they're actually, we're getting reviews, we're talking about it. And other times I get the, yes, that looks great. And I kind of get a sense of like, are we actually collaborating here? What are your thoughts on how to really maximize that collaboration in that space when there's many unknowns? Like a lot of times the design's not finished, maybe they don't fully know the equipment that's going to be placed. I mean, there's some big gaps, but you need to get people in there facilitating. How do you see kind of really driving that?
Very true. So couple things here. One of the things that we've seen that works great and it's super valuable is, first, before getting into the weeds of that, is allowing every trade partner to come with a preset, sort of high level planning of what they think it should look like. Right. These are the activities we need to tackle, maybe high level workforce ideas of how many people they're going to need. And after that, like you said, sometimes they tell you, no, this looks great, but you need to have some sort of process in place. It can be simple, that gets them talking about different things. And that's why like the make ready work is so important to me based on everything that I've seen. Because instead of saying, hey, what do you think about this plan? Do you think like looks good? Do you think you'll be able to do it? Like, what are your thoughts? Oh, it looks great. It's like a different way of understanding if that's the right way, like that, than saying, okay, do we have the submittals in place? Do we have an understanding of, how many people we're going to need to get this done? Do we have any roadblock here that is going to be maybe owned by some of the other trades? Like, is there anything blocking you? Is there anything that it might prevent you to start this? Yeah, actually, now that I think of, like, we're going to need this equipment that I haven't seen it today in job site. There's different things that are that checklist, that process to get the make ready work, so people have everything they need to get the job done, and they can confidently commit to activities on any given day, any given week. If that is not done like that, then you're just asking them, do you think this is good? Like, can we get this done? Oh yeah, That's like when I go to my team and if I talk to my sales team, I'm like, hey guys, we need to bring $5 million in revenue. Can we do it? Yeah. Everyone's like, yeah, of course. Right. But then if you're like, okay, let's flip it out. We're selling this ticket to this amount of companies. How many companies do we have in the pipeline? We have 100. Okay, if we sell this ticket, then we can make it happen. Do we need to achieve 80% of that pipeline? Can we get it done? You know what, Franco? Let me look at data. Historically, we've done 60, 70%. This is a reach. Like we would get there with a Hail Mary. In this case, it's kind of similar. If you don't work it backwards and understand resources, any roadblocks that might be important, like do the make ready work with everyone involved, then the outcome is not going to be even close to what it could be with that level of collaboration. Maybe you're not going to figure everything out, right? Construction has a lot of variables and a lot of unpredictables. Maybe you plan everything and it's like, boom, storm, like concrete pour is screwed. But the less risk you have and the more process you build to mitigate that risk when the day comes to execute, then the better outcomes you're going to have, right? And the more collaborative, meaning everyone involved with their own voice. There's always a gatekeeper. That's fine. Like we're not trying to build kumbaya land where everyone can input everything and then it's a mess, right? There's always gatekeepers. There's always processes. But when you get that input on a daily basis, then the reality is that schedule is much more reflective of reality than if you don't have that input. And that input sometimes is something as simple as that input is sometimes something as simple as one contractor, the electrical contractor, like raising his hand and be like, by the way, guys, there's no way I'm going to be able to start that on Friday because ABC. Boom, that's it. You had something on Friday, now you're going to have to move it to Monday. And having a platform that allows you to, forecast that, input that change and understand what will be the impact will give you the truth today, not in 6 days or 7 days from now when you sit down and update the schedule to real life. It gives you the input today. So today you have a better understanding of what's happening and a better possibility of, talking to your owner and or talking to the client and get a better plan in place instead of waiting and be like, by the way, we're not going to be able to deliver this. We're going to be delayed a week. Then that's when the problem starts. And that's when the relationship starts breaking construction. And we've seen it 1,000 times.
If you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I want the very best for you in your career as a construction planner or scheduler. That is why I wrote The Critical Path Career. This is the first book that is specifically geared toward construction planners and schedulers. In it, I provide specific advice on how to get a raise, how to get a promotion, and how to find a new job. I include 26 interview questions and provide the answers so you don't have to go into that next interview not feeling like your most confident self. I also provide 34 impact ideas that you can bring back to your team to help advance how they are planning and scheduling. You'll find a link for the book down below. Thank you for everyone who's supported the show.
Yeah. I was just going to go on your hypothetical on the weather. It would be like, if you just have that weather incident, but you have all your other ducks in a row, weather passes, you're out, you file that change order to the owner, they have weather delay in it, everybody's moving on, the ship's rolling.
Exactly.
Right? In another scenario, you don't have all your ducks in a row, the sun comes out, you go to work, oh, we didn't get that RFI for the rebar on casing zone A, and now I'm still chasing the owner to get the weather delay approved. Where's the, and there's just so many little things that if you don't have that lined up. Well, let's switch gears a little bit because I feel like we hammered the baseline. I want to get into kind of the progress update. And you really brought up a great subject of, building out that detailed level of work. And I guarantee there's some planners and schedulers out there that their little light bulbs in the back of their heads are going off. And wait a second, Franco, hold on.
Hopefully.
Okay. If we go too detailed, it becomes a mess and hard to update, and so now that can be a constraint from software, but it also is a constraint from people, because either to solve either way. So walk me through. I'm a big proponent of what you're throwing down. I like the level 3, level 4 schedule. It shows the high level plan. You break the plan down into zones or phases, and then you start going into a lean production style delivery of work. And you really get the trades involved, and it's make ready work. But for the non-believers out there, how does that not get more complicated, harder to track, more convoluted in a more, like if you looked at it from a traditional sense, I guess?
Okay, that's fair. From a traditional sense, maybe. Because in the traditional sense, in the status quo way of doing things today, managing that it's hard, man. Like I've been on billion-dollar job site where they're doing that process that you mentioned with the old way, and it's very hard, right? You have 1,000 of spreadsheets with data, with the inputs of the field. You have the planning sessions that are long, and no one pays attention the full
Yeah.
meeting.
The good old like 3 hour
Exactly.
every, and you're like, oh, I got things I got to do.
Man, if you're doing it this way, the way you just mentioned, like the way we think should be done with
Yeah.
the old tools, and I don't want to focus on the tools because it's all about the people. The tools are just exactly that, a tool. But doing that the old ways, it's hard. It's hard. You have fragmented piece of information that you need to put together, and that's where the scheduler is like, okay, shit, I need to grab all these Excel sheets, maybe something that we have on a digital whiteboard, like whatever else, and maybe read on Procore information on submittals, information on safety, whatever. And let me put all that knowledge back into like an updated baseline or schedule or whatever. Of course it's hard. Of course it's hard. It's actually crazy hard. We've seen joint ventures that have 3 different ways of doing that, and they're trying to get the understanding of what's happening in the project as a whole.
I've
Imagine
overseen
how hard
projects
is
like
that?
that where I walk in and then the JVs are interfighting because
Yeah.
I believe my schedule, no, my schedule, no, my schedule. And you're like,
Exactly. So again, I don't want to bring it back to software, but that's where technology helps. We're not I want to say this is important. Like the knowledge and experience that schedulers have is necessary, is super important, is crucial. But I want to emphasize that technology is there to support, to help, to make these managing information data processes easier. I mean, today as a company, we wouldn't be able to be as efficient as we are if we didn't use HubSpot, if we didn't use like all these other tools that are supporting our teams to be more efficient, to do better work, to have more data. This is the same with what we're proposing today. These processes that are bringing inputs from a lot of different people, the only way to proper manage it is if you have technology that supports it, and not 3-5 pieces of technology. Ideally, one that is grabbing these processes as a whole and then bringing data from another tool and sending that data to another tool that is crucial for the company. If not, it's very hard to manage. And I totally understand it. But the data that comes from, input from everyone is so much more compelling and rich than the data that comes only from someone that knows the schedule really, really well. And no person can really have the magic ball and say like, okay, I'm going to change this here. I'm going to move this activity here. I'm going to expand this one. And this is the way that it's going to happen. Because guess what? Reality is going to be very different on the job site. And if your guys on the job site are not aligned with what you're planning, then it's never going to happen, man. It's going to go like this.
let me maybe read between the lines here. So I guess what you're proposing is use a solution like Outbuild. And then in Outbuild, it allows the superintendents, some of the project managers to manage their scopes of work more discreetly in Outbuild.
Micah, I'm proposing any tool. Honestly, at this point,
well, no,
my investors will kill me if I'm saying any tool, but I'll be happy if I see the industry moving as a whole to like new technology. Okay. But yeah, let's say Outbuild.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. I just want to make sure that, like, for clarity's sake, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so, and you can talk specifically about that Outbuild here because I don't, so you're knowledgeable about it.
I'm going to talk in generalities, but sure.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. But I guess then the underlying question is how is that chaos how's that chaos managed? Because you're bringing everybody in, everybody can input their own little thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to me that would get a level of chaos there. Walk me through how the technology and how some of the processes helps to eliminate that chaos. Because I feel that's probably when I was first introduced to the system years and years ago, that was the first thing that made me very, very nervous because we've all sat down with that project manager, that superintendent that just, starts going crazy with it, and then it does blow up your schedule because it's not constrained. You're kind of, you're just hitting it live. So if when you hand the keys over the car, give me the sales pitch for that person that's concerned about how does this not turn into chaos?
Okay, good question. So like I said, there's in any tool, let's not talk about Outbuild, but let's say any tool that is proposing this, there are processes and approval processes as well to get this job done in an organized fashion, right? So it's not like, hey, everyone touches the schedule and then let's figure it out. In what we do, at least, the schedule, when it's built, the strategical, master plan, that serves as an umbrella for what's coming down in the field coordination part of it. Let me explain. So if you have a large activity and then there's a milestone, right? Large activity, 25 days, then there's a milestone of delivery of something or handout. What comes in the collaborative look ahead field planning portion of it is using that as an umbrella so we can understand we need to deliver this here. What are the different things that need to happen from all of us here in the room to get that job done, to deliver that? So then comes the part where the different trades or the different people involved, they bring their own planning for their own area. They're not touching the schedule. They're just touching the tactical portion of it where they come in for that activity, and they bring a pre-prepared set of things that they need to get done on their side, plus maybe blockers that they have from other trades so they can finish their job, etc. And then a planning session acts like a coordination of all those inputs, and it's much more efficient than starting the conversation in that planning session and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So that planning session today is like a lot of people, someone running the meeting, and then the trades maybe throwing things here and there, and all right, let's just figure out. Versus the new approach is collaboratively, everyone should come with an idea of what they're going to need to do, what blockers they have, everything within a software, and then the planning session just acts as, okay, let's restructure things, let's move here and there. Are you okay with this? You're going to need something else? Yes, boom, boom, boom. And then we have a plan for the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks that we're all aligned, that we all raise our hands to validate anything, and that we can actually believe. So that plan is going to be encompassed under that umbrella activity that is owned by whoever owns the schedule, whether it's a scheduler, head of scheduling, or maybe the PM. So that chaos is just collaboration within a spectrum of that schedule. So it's not going to be like craziness in the schedule, right? When we talk about collaboration and schedule, we talk about a lot of people having different inputs that would keep that schedule updated. In our schedule, we don't have like the trays just moving bars and stuff. Like that's not how it works. It's just that input from the field pushing the short midterm planning portion of it, and then having a better understanding of how those umbrella scheduling activities are going to behave. Because if on this side, on the tactical side, we can't get buying that we're going to finish it by that day, then your schedule is already like outdated.
Oh yeah,
it's not showing the truth. So that craziness, like everyone's voice, it's channeled in a way that it's like, at least us, we build a process that we've iterated for years on what we've seen that works. And that process is like all this noise, all this craziness, all these ideas. We put them in a short-term plan. We put them in the machine and we see how that pans out. And then someone is going to be approving or validating that as a gatekeeper from that schedule. So we're just moving now from one person owning the schedule, having to manually get all these inputs, to a software that is operationally more efficient. Everyone has their inputs, but it's still managed by, most of the time, someone that will be the gatekeeper of the scheduling, saying, okay, we're going to approve this, because they know the structure, they know the owner's requirements and demands. But that schedule is much more rich in data and much more accurate of reality than this one here. And then from that, we're probably going to move towards just learning and software being smarter, that can help you make better decisions quicker. Like, we're never going to replace the experience, the knowledge of the trades. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, if I'm being honest. Like, I love AI, I love all that stuff, but I do believe that the experience, the knowledge, and humans collaborating with each other, it's always going to have a better result than if a super crazy algorithm is like, oh, this should be your schedule. I mean, I don't believe that today. Maybe in the future, great. I believe technology should be acting as a supporter of these people that are knowledgeable, that are in the field. They understand the ins and outs. They understand the little kinks of the job site. So that software should act like, hey, you're planning this. Watch out for this. Past 3 projects, this has happened. You have a 50% probability of hitting the mark here. Historically, this trade has brought 5 people every single week. Now you're asking them for 7. Watch out. Like all these insights that data is creating immediately.
That's usually on the project. It's 70, not 7 or 5.
Yeah, I know. I mean, by trade, by week.
The owner's like, we need this done. It's like, well, you know what? We've had about 5 electricians here. We're going to get 70 tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. How is that still a thing? It's like, and the reason why is because when you resort to all this different, like all ways of doing things where data is not structured, where data is not centralized, and you can actually learn from that data, then you're making decisions like this, man. So you're only relying on the experience of people to get it to work. When in reality, you need to rely on the experience of people, but empowered by freaking data. And that data is built with the collaborative aspect. Because if it's just data coming from one person using the CPM schedule, then it's not the biggest value. And I see that, I mean, maybe some people will disagree, but I see that all the time with different industries, with what we do in different pieces of technology, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's why you see the evolution that software has had, because it's really supporting all these processes, making them better, empowering people with data so they can make better decisions. And then we're just talking about going from the old way to the new way and having that input from the field. But now add to this conversation the unsiloing of that schedule, that field planning data, and imagine the strength that data would have if you bring inputs from other pieces of software that would paint a much better picture of what the hell is going on, right? So to give you a quick example, it's going to be very close to home, but the submittals. We've seen schedules today. We were probably the first company that connected submittals to the CPM schedule, like brought them automatically from a Procore and then put them in the schedule with red, green, yellow, what the hell's going on. Today, when you look at a schedule here on P6, right, you look at the schedule, I've seen companies building separate schedules for submittals. And it's like, you don't have to do that, man. Like you really don't have to do that. So we connected all submittals, their status and all that stuff with the lead times into the schedule. And now in the schedule, you have a clear picture of, shit, we're starting this activity on Monday. And the submittal is not even like,
you're not starting on Monday.
You're not starting on Monday. But guess what? You know that today's Friday, but imagine if it was like Wednesday. You're not starting on Monday versus the traditional way. What would happen? Yeah. You go on Monday and it's like, oh, we're starting. But dude, did you have the submittal approved? Oh, shit.
I know. And I love that automation because it's kind of going back to what you're saying earlier about, making people's lives easier, adding all of those submittals into the schedule, and then tying all those submittals together and then going to the design team and asking for status with them. And I love my design and engineer and architectural people out there. Love you to death.
Yeah.
But boy, since you guys are in knowledge work and not in productivity work, the estimates, it's always, oh yeah, we're going to hit that date. Oh, we're going to hit that date. Oh, yeah, and then it's like, no, we're not. And it's like, no, man, it's just, it always bumps.
And then that only brings more work to the scheduler because now he has to get back on track. And so why are we doing this? Why are we really putting ourselves in this situation, right? And then, yeah, man, I mean, everything we're talking about is just the way that we're expecting it to be. And we're not even talking also about the fact that doing it this way, it creates a sense of, like I said before, there's 2 words that are very important to us that we've seen it again and again and again. One is accountability and the other one is traceability. So today it's very hard to have either one of those, right? Because how do you track where was the issue? Where did it come from? Like, how do you do those 5 questions of like, what happened, blah, 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 to understand the root cause of the problem? If there's no traceability and accountability, how do you track that today? Like, are you going to go to P6 and be like, did you change this? No, I didn't change it. Are you going to go to the Excel sheet and it's like, did you paint this cell? No, that wasn't me. Like, are you going to go to the sticky note board and be like, did you guys move the sticky to here? Not me. I've been on job sites where on the lunch break, I saw people moving the sticky notes, dude. Like, it's like, oh, we have this plan. And then like the drywall contractor is like, you know what? I'm going to build this here.
I may have bumped a sticky note in my day or two, knocked it off and been like, I think it was there.
See? Or it fell because the glue. Anyways, what I'm saying is when you have a piece of software that is doing the things that we mentioned, that traceability and accountability is there. Meaning, if something changes, Franco Giacuinto changed this like from Friday to Tuesday. And it's like, hey, guy, what happened here? We didn't agree to this. Like, what are you doing? It only takes one call out in a planning session to get that done. It's never going to happen again. And then the other one is every single change, every activity that wasn't achieved, completed, because there's an actual item there that says schedule was delayed and it wasn't approved by the time this has to start. Now you know exactly who's responsible because that submittal was assigned to someone, architect, whatever. So now you know the root cause immediately in 1 second. And now you have a clear story of what happened in the entire project from beginning to end. Like this, the project now, added 3 days of delay because this guy like didn't approve submittal or whatever. So you're combining all the pieces of data to make one story that actually makes sense and one story that is accurate and updated every single minute so you can make better decisions. But then at the end, you have a clear story of what happened. And that is piling up and building more data and structured data and usable data that you're actually learning. One of the big problems we see today, and people know this in construction, is the learning between one project and the next. You fail in a few things, there's like a lot of issues, you learn it, but how do you transmit that learning to the entire company?
We could,
right?
we could record a whole nother episode on that.
Yeah.
So many, we'll put it in the lessons learned Excel spreadsheet.
Plus Delta that goes into like, where does it go?
Yeah. Well, then maybe you get it on the next project and you pick it up and there's like 10,000 things. And you're like, how does this relate? Franco,
exactly.
Thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate you joining this. I absolutely love this discussion. It really just speaks to a lot of the things I've been thinking about and helping some of my clients with. And I know a lot of the audience has been struggling with these issues as well. You can download Outbuild or sign up for Outbuild. You don't download it. It's a cloud-based platform, 14-day free trial. I signed up for it, been enjoying it a ton. I actually noticed when I was like moving activities around, the little variances popped up on the Gantt chart. And I was like, this speaks to my heart. Before we drop, Franco, anything else you want to say about Outbuild and any shout outs to the help planners and schedulers out there?
So first of all, just wanted to thank you, Micah, for having us or having me today. This is great. I love that you're putting all that scheduling knowledge out there and having people discuss this openly. Shout out to everyone in the field making it work. Shout out to schedulers too. You have a tough job. We're only here to help. And in terms of Outbuild, go online, check out what we do. We would love to show you more about what we do. So I don't want to sell it today, but we're trying to change things for the better. We're trying to support you guys. We're not trying to just sell you software and get the hell out of here. And a lot of our team are construction people. So lived it in the field and we understand what you guys are going through. So we're just here to support. Also, shout out to our guys at Spring Valley. That's why we're wearing swag today. And shout out to all of our team, amazing team and our amazing customers. Yeah, all the best, everyone. Thank you, Micah.
I'll include a link down below. You can go sign up, give it a shot, give it a whirl, give it a test spin. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for listening. As you can tell, I'm covering a cold and my voice is going out, so I'm going to go rest, but we will catch you on the next one. See you, everyone.